Welcome, everybody. It's so good to see such a diverse group here today. And we're so pleased to see such an interest in this book, A New Beginning for Humankind. It's a book filled with hope. And this hope is in spite of all of the dire predictions that the author makes if humankind doesn't change its direction. That humanity can change. And humanity is capable of creating a lasting peace and is capable of erecting a social system that is at once progressive and peaceful, dynamic and harmonious, a system giving free play to individual creativity and initiative, but based on cooperation and reciprocity. Now we have a full afternoon for you, so we'll start the program right away. But first, let's just go through the program so we're all on the same page. So we're going to start with a few felicitations or commendations about the book from a few people. Then that will be followed by a ceremonial unveiling of the book. Then we'll have the book presentation, and then we will end the sort of formal program with some expressions of gratitude. Following that, there's going to be a book signing, and we have the book set up in the corner of the room, and there will be also some refreshments that will be served. So we hope that you stay behind and have a chance to talk with each other, some of the speakers, the author, and feel free to. Oops, now we have some volume.
That's too much.
Yeah, that's too much. But feel free to stay behind and chat with each other. Now, first of all, are we okay with that volume now? Still down? Still a little ringing. How are we doing in the back of the room? You're okay? Great, good. Anyway, I would like to begin now by inviting our speakers to come up and give the felicitations or the commendations of the book. And the first speaker, I'd like to invite, oh, yes, I'm sorry, the national anthem. Thank you. The first person I'd like to invite up to the podium is Felix Kongnui. He's the Executive Director and founder of the Baobab Inclusive Empowerment Society in Surrey. And this society runs national and international programs and projects meant to empower low-income families and individuals. Please welcome Felix.
I want to first of all start by thanking most of you for being here today, and my fellow friends which I've been working with in the past. And I want to just start today by paraphrasing something very important to me, which Mother Teresa said some years ago. If we have no peace, it's because we have forgotten that we belong to each other. This is a very, very important quote, and it's something like a kind of memory that I've actually put at the back of my mind each time that I'm walking in the community and doing things for people. Be it in my past life as well, it has been like a kind of a guide for me in each and everything that I've been doing in my past life. Being here and working in other several places and being involved in different types of projects. So I would like each and every one of us to just pause for a while in silence. Thank you all very much. I would like to, first of all, start by saying, I think the work that we're planning to do and the book of Dr. Arby is something really special in our community. Looking at the book and seeing the diversity that we have here in Surrey, I think that we have a great opportunity here to make good use of. Looking at some of the issues that we've been facing as well in the community, I mean, it's really, really an interesting piece. And I think that actually if we all put our heads together in working with young people, children and families, we can actually change a lot of things in this community. I am sometimes paradoxically disappointed because most of our successes that we've made with technology and science, but still we failed in a very, very simple, most of our common sense values that we used to have that used to bring us together. Things like caring for each other, unity, sharing, respect, togetherness, peace. Indeed, we failed in that area. And the book of Dr. Arby is actually, providing a chain of solutions to those problems. The very first time that I met him, it was back some months back, first earlier this year. And when I met with him, I just saw the simplicity and authenticity which he had in the work which he wanted to do and the book. So I think that this book is really something special for the community, and especially is something special that we all can benefit from. I mean, even looking around, we have a lot of young people here. We have a lot of children in school. So I think that actually joining our heads together, we can actually make good use of this opportunity. I would like each and every one here who is interested in joining the Peace Club to join it, because the peace that we have to do in the community doesn't stop right here. It continues. And I would like to very much thank everybody here who has worked with me and those who don't know me, and I wish to have each and every one of you, and I wish to learn from you people in the future as we move forward. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Felix. And our next speaker is David Daly. He's the convener and main coordinator of two local grassroots organizations, the Surrey Interfaith Council and Village Surrey. The Surrey Interfaith Council is a well-known forum for people from diverse religions, religious, spiritual, and philosophical traditions where they can connect, learn, and collaborate on projects that build awareness, understanding, and trust in the community. Village Surrey is a forum for people concerned about climate change and peak oil. So welcome, David.
Thank you, Connie, and thank you, RB, and to all the organizers. It's a real honor to be here. I want to tell you a story, and it's a story about two villages. A long time ago and far away, or could be here and now. These villages were on opposite sides of a stream, and they had hated each other for a long time. One day, a boy from one village hurled a stone across the stream and hit a girl in the head in the other village. The wound bled and left a visible scar. In the days and weeks and months that followed, the acts of hatred and revenge between the two villages grew until practically everyone from each village had found reason to hate and despise the people from the other village. One day, years later, the tension and bitterness between the two villages was as strong as ever. The girl was playing down by the side of the stream and happened to see a group of children from the other village playing on the other side of the stream. At the same time, she saw her reflection in the gently flowing waters. She saw the scar on her face that marked where the rock had hit her all those years before. She looked up at the children playing and was overcome by a sense of peace as she realized that they were all the same. At that very moment, she heard the sound of angry villagers. They had captured the boy from the other village that had thrown the stone that had struck her all those years ago. As they brought the captured boy back to the village, they encountered the girl playing down by the stream. They stopped, and one of the villagers picked up a large stone and placed it in the girl's hand and pointed at the boy, who was being held so tightly that he could not move. The girl felt the weight of the stone in her hand, and she looked at the boy who was staring back at her with wide eyes and struggling to free himself. But when she turned and looked into the angry, bitter faces of the villagers, she realized that retribution was not the answer. "Let us build a garden instead," she said. Well, the villagers grumbled and someone shouted, "What kind of garden?" "A peace garden," the girl replied. And she steadfastly placed the rock on the ground. Before long, more people had placed more rocks on the ground, forming the border of a garden that went on to flourish in the space between the two villages. It was the girl's brave decision to turn stones into a garden that allowed a space for conversation and forgiveness to grow. For all the shortcomings and failings of humanity, it's important to remember that our history is also rich with people who have courageously and creatively built gardens of peace. And I believe that Dr. RB is one such person. RB put his life at risk to stand up for peace in Sri Lanka at a time when hatred and violence was thick in the air. And with this book, RB has placed a rock on the ground here in Surrey. And he's done so with the gentleness and tenacity of a true visionary. And he is inviting us to build a garden with him. Many of you have done peace work in Surrey here for years. Take us to your gardens. Tell us what you have done. What has worked, what hasn't. And many of you have new ideas for creating peace here in our community. How can we support you? What do you need to be able to step forward and place your rock on the ground? May we find in one another the courage to face the challenges before us with grace and tenacity. Let's have this conversation. Let's build this garden. Please come out next week here in the library for the dialogue session about the Global Peace Alliance of Surrey. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And our next speaker is Mohammed Alam. He's a community worker, a trade union activist, and advocate of human rights in Surrey. Please welcome to the stage.
Thank you very much for coming to the book launch ceremony. A New Beginning for Humankind by R.B. Herath is one of the best books that I have read in my lifetime. I also have the honor to know Bob for the last 20 years. I also have the honor to read this book several times, the draft. This book is not for one community, it's for every one of us. This book is for all the people, of all color, of all religion, of all ancestry. So please support us by buying this book, reading this book, and sending your comments to RB. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Muhammad. And our next speaker that I'd like to welcome to the podium is Comfort Arrow. She's the Artistic Director of African Stages Association of BC, as well as the President of the Nigeria-Canada Development Association of BC. She's an award-winning teacher, playwright, dramatist, poet, storyteller, cross-cultural facilitator, youth program coordinator, and settlement worker. And she lives in Surrey. Welcome.
Thank you and welcome everybody. The first time I met R.B. Herath, it was in Felix's office, and we were talking about establishing storytelling clubs. And in came this gentleman and started talking of peace, and I turned my ears off it. I said, I want storytelling. Then he left his book for us. Once I read it, I said, wait a minute, I need to live for a long time to tell more stories. So my attention switched to that book, and the beginning, the way he analyzed it, there's nobody that will hear that will not say, I must take action for peace to reign on earth. There's so much turmoil for little things on earth that I don't know what is happening with people now wiping up themselves clean, killing without looking back. It takes courage to prepare a recipe. The ladies in here know how to get recipe together to make nice soup or make nice food. His own recipe is worldwide. He had done a lot of research and he knows what he's talking about. So it's very believable what he has written there, and we have to read it, and not only read and lay back, we need action. There's one quote in his book which I kept in my head. I won't quote it verbatim, but I just say, he said, it's Robert Einstein, I think. Einstein, that very clever man in the 17th century. He said, there's a lot of evil, bad things happening in this world. Not because there are many evil people around, but because there are other people who look on without doing anything. They do nothing, and the evil continues. So let us do something. And another thing that touched my heart in that book is the existence of the United Nations. Despite its existence over the years, the strife continues. And he suggested something for it. He said, let the ordinary people come to the center stage and do something. We are the ordinary people. We can't just keep on looking on. It has to start with us as parents. What do we teach children in schools? I tell stories in schools, and then some children, the way they interact with you as a teacher or the storyteller, you know straight away the home they come from. They can be very good, or they can address you in very rude manners. And that it starts like that. We might look at that as children play. No, it starts like that. what is implanted in the mind of the child will later grow into something else. My father is a village chief. He used to settle village little matters that the court couldn't settle. They turned it to him. I was about 6 years old, and two little boys fought. They fought, one hit the other down, and the two mothers came and started fighting over the boy that was bleeding on the head. Then the fathers came and joined in. Then it became the quarters in the village. Then many people took sides. And then they brought this matter to my father. I used to smuggle myself in, and I listened. They were talking, both sides. This one, this, that. After they finished, my father said, the case is finished. I don't judge it. Some people here have already judged it. People say, what is he saying? What's that? He said, look at the children you are fighting over. Both of them are already playing. And you are fighting. You are turning the village upside down. Look at the two of them. And the two kids were already playing right there. So we have to walk through our children. I believe so much in that. The projects I do are usually through children and youth. And they change. When you see how they evolve, it's very, very, it's interesting. And they come in with different stories of hatred in their heart. People are calling me names. I don't want this. I don't want to play with people in my class. So people, after that, they perform in their classroom. The children all want to be their friends, and they, in turn, they are already empowered, and they are happy to play with such people. So I also worked in a Muslim school. I was a vice principal in a Muslim school. I learned to say in my country, and I learned to say the Fatiha. If there's a Muslim here, I can say it for you to hear. I learned to say all their prayers. It doesn't mean, I'm a Christian, but it doesn't mean anything. It's a prayer. And I said it with them, and because of that, I had so many friends who were Muslims. I'm just saying all this, that little things cause us to fight in the world. It leads to all these bombs and things. They are little things, and they start from very little, from children, from youth. So please, when we fail to instill the virtues of peace and compassion in the young and vulnerable ones, they will later turn around and pull the country down, and consequently turn the world upside down. Let us look at our children and women. I gave my friends that example in Rwanda. To just finish my talk, in Rwanda, when there was a genocide, people were just killing. They would enter a place like this and slaughter everybody. Before a woman can do that, I don't know if that person will be a woman to do that. Whenever we are doing any project, we should take women into consideration. They should be part of that project. The Rwanda people, when they settled down, the women said, our parliament must be over 60% women. And ever since then, there are over 60% women in the Rwanda parliament, and there is peace. So let's have peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now our next speaker needs no introduction. So I'd like to invite City Councillor Verinder Rasode to the stage, please, of the City of Surrey.
Thank you, and good afternoon to everybody. And on behalf of Mayor Diane Watts and Surrey City Council, I'm very honored to stand before you here today. First of all, I want to acknowledge all of the beautiful people and the beautiful energy that we have in this room, because we have come together for R.B. Herath, who in his retirement, as he is winding down in his years, as he once might have said, has created such a powerful book. A powerful book with the very big intention of creating everlasting peace. And as we build community, and we hear many, many voices in our community over very, very many issues, I think one of the things that we've heard today is voice is very important. And for all of the young people in the room, as you use your voice moving forward, think of people like RB as an example and a mentor, because your voice is your brand. You should always speak what's in your heart and stand up for what you believe. But as you're doing that, remember that you are then branded by those values that you share and hold. As we build community, every piece of that community builds a strong fabric. So every one of us in this room and the experiences that we have held and the voice that we have will build a strong community together. So I look forward to RB's book, doing very well, being very successful in terms of not only the distribution, but in terms of the message that it articulates. And I know that he will work very hard with community associations around the community to make sure that we're all working together. And if there is any way that I can serve you, please do not hesitate to contact me. And thank you for letting me be a part of this fabulous event.
Thank you so much. So now we have come to the point where we are going to unveil the book. And so if I could call the planning team up, please.
You have no choice. Take two.
Thank you.
It's a fixed one. I couldn't get the whole.
I got that one. Yeah. Are you the daughter?
I'm his daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like herding cats. Now I would like to invite Henry Subsusinghe, a founder, the president of the Sri Lankan Friendships Association, to come and introduce the author of the book, R.B. Herath.
Thank you, Connie. I'm deeply honored. I've been asked to introduce a great author, poet, dramatist, political reformist, and peacemaker, my dear friend, Dr. R.B. Herath. For short, we call him Dr. R.B. He and I grew up in Sri Lanka at a time of rising ethnic tension there. The situation had resulted from ethnic identity politics in the country at the time. Even as a young person, he took every opportunity to fight against this evil, both during his high school time and also when he was in the university. When the country was finally threatened with separatist war, he pulled together like-minded people from all ethnic groups in the country and founded and led a national political party with the platform for change to genuine democracy. Thereby, he hoped to prevent outbreak of impending disaster and establish a genuine democracy in the country. He and his political party worked pretty hard to achieve all that with relentless workshops, rallies, and the like, nationwide. But in a matter of few years, the separatist war broke out, regardless, in 1983. At the same time, the general election scheduled for that year was also cancelled. He then left, he felt the country in the same year. He left the country in the same year, also in 1984. Ever since, he lived in other countries, moving from one to another, and finally settled in Canada in 1990. In all, he has lived in several countries and 4 continents. Wherever he lived, he kept his eyes and ears open to grasp the real driving force behind major human conflicts worldwide in the lessons that could be learned from them. This led to a number of books he wrote. One published in 2002 proposed a political solution to the Sri Lankan conflict. Canadian Foreign Minister Bill Graham, who was among the many reviewers in this book, forwarded to the others concerned. I still remember the times he and my late wife and I took part in many one-on-one and group discussions he held with us and others on the Sri Lankan situation while he was writing this book. Another, published in 2007, reviewed the unique experiment democracy in Canada. In the experiment, the government of BC gave the people the power to take control over the electoral reform process and to make the final decision by passing the BC legislature. Among several other books he wrote, there was also one poem for the children of Sri Lanka, and message of love, peace, and unity. The book, written in singular, was titled Desa Premian Vadavadiva Darudarian Kaivalin Value Libya, that is in singular. A letter to our children in poems written through patriotism. In Canada, while continuing to write books, he also pursued a professional career with the BC government. At the same time, he also had the distinction of being a member of the historic BC Citizens Embassy Assembly in electoral reform established in 2004, and a board member of a number of democracy and peace organizations, including SANSAD, the South Asian Network of Secularism and Democracy. He is married and has 3 adult daughters and 1 granddaughter. He now lives with his wife, Hemamala, in Surrey. Finally, as his close friends and colleagues, we all are so excited to see the enthusiasm of many of our community leaders and to join hands with him to put to use his new revolutionary ideas he has expressed in his last book, A New Beginning for Humankind, towards more peaceful world for us and our future generations. Thank you, and anybody who wants to buy the book, it's over there, and you can get it signed today by the author when you buy it. Thank you very much.
May everyone care for the needs of others and share what is available in an equitable manner. May everyone forgive and forget any harm done by others. May everyone always act responsibly in a trustworthy and reliable manner. May everyone appreciate the well-being and happiness of all humans, just as one's own, irrespective of race, ethnicity, tribe, religion, language, culture, and ideology.
And now, R.B. Herath, please come and give us a presentation on the book.
Hi everyone, and thank you so much for finding time from a busy Saturday, whatever you are supposed to be doing, and finding time to come here. Greatly appreciated. I think this volume, is it a little? Yeah, okay. And at the same time, the earlier speakers talked something about the book. Maybe I will talk not much. Go back to the first one. The name of the book is, of course, as you know, A New Beginning for Humankind, a recipe for lasting peace on earth. Now the background as such to the book, I think my friend Henry, in his speech just before me, I think did a good job. That's the sort of background. I left Sri Lanka in '84 and lived in so many countries, and so on and so forth. And I only would like to add that the more I research on world conflicts and conflict resolution and international relationships, the more urge was there for me to write a book on world peace. But you know, I tried to start writing at least 5-6 times. Every time I started, it ended up in procrastination because of something else that came up for a book or whatever. But all this changed the day I first saw my first grandchild, Chantal. You know, I thought, what if the next World War comes and all the nukes come down and this little baby will have to endure that in her lifetime. So it gave me the extra motivation I needed to sit down and write this book to completion. So once I started writing, lots of people helped me to do that. And as you can see, from a wide spectrum of religious, cultural, and ideological backgrounds. And indeed, some of them reviewed the manuscript a few times. And my dear colleague and friend Mohammed Alam did it 3 times. And others did 2 times, and so on and so forth. So some even proposed strategies and processes for propagating the peace mission advocated in the book, even while I was still writing. So let us, for a moment, ponder on, are we in safe hands? What is the state of the world today? How safe or unsafe the world is we are living in? Now, when you look around, you will see a number of hotspots with on and off wars, and indeed with major threats of wars, driving all of us to hell. At the same time, the manufacturers of war weapons keep on making them more and more sophisticated, destructive, and dangerous. And in the process, many believe today the amount of weapons of mass destruction stockpiled on this beautiful green planet, more than enough, even to turn the entire human species into ashes in mere seconds. So that's how safe the world is we are in, unfortunately. Now, so what chances are there for any outbreak of the next world war? Now, in some of the flyers that were there on the table, you may have picked them up, the expert opinion is very, very clear. There's no ambiguity. The world has already reached a nuclear tipping point. And indeed, in any future world war, nuclear weapons will certainly be employed. Of course, some people, we hear some people saying, although there are nuclear weapons, we don't have to worry, they would not be used at war because of assured mutual destruction. That's the argument they bring up. The expert opinion is otherwise. Such thinking is only a myth. So, and at the same time, there are enough ongoing conflicts in the world today that can trigger the next World War. Just as how World War I and World War II were triggered. It is not that all the leaders of the world got together to a room and said, hey guys, let's have a world war. It didn't happen that way. Some isolated incident produced World War I, produced World War II. The assassination of Archduke Ferdinand of Austria by a Bosnian Serb nationalist triggered World War I. And the German invasion of Poland triggered World War II. This topic. Major I think I can talk loud enough. You will hear. If the speaker is not working, don't worry. You hear me at the back? Yes. Okay. So, and at the same time, we have seen ourselves how just human error led to wars. You know, how the US war on Iraq in 2003. Just is at the end of the war, somebody telling us it was only a human error. These things can happen and can happen again. And again, I was asked by quite a good number of people, especially in the academic world, can't the changing world dynamics, be some sort of a buffer? I did investigate on that, and that's part of the book. And the findings, not that good. It doesn't give any good news. It only makes things worse. We know that China, India, Brazil, they are becoming world powers. So there would be change in world dynamics in some manner. But what I found was this will only lead to a multipolar regime, as in the 19th century, that led to dark periods of massacres and wars, culminating in World War I and World War II. So that's the situation. So, very unfortunately, the existing or the current global system of checks and balances cannot help us. Why? Why I say that? Because you know the critical failures in the past, and some of the things are listed here, and all conflicts are lingering, continuing, decades, centuries, millenniums. Take the Israelis, and the problem with the Palestinians. So, today the United Nations has even failed to get the member states to comply with the global resolutions passed at the Assembly. And the biggest culprits are the powerful nations. So these are the facts of the case. And genocides, as our friend Comfort was explaining, Rwanda, Darfur, Srebrenica, when thousands of people are put to mass graves alive, what could the world do? Could they stop that? So, unilateral global action. 2003, US just walked in to Iraq. And 2008, Russia going in to Georgia. What, as global community, what could we do? We only could look on and do nothing. So, of course, the United Nations says we did not sanction those wars. Is it a world system that is good enough to prevent the next world war? So, yet there is no cohesive plan or program to reverse this unfortunate trend. Next one. So, against this background, friends, what this book is trying to do is to identify why the system is not working for us and for our children. And identifying the defects, coming up with a novel, revolutionary, if you like, out of the ordinary, non-traditional approach to prevent the unthinkable. And today, most of the global initiatives in there just preventing wars. But history has shown us time and again that itself is not good enough for lasting peace. World War I, World War II, now we are talking about World War III, World War IV, and so on. So there's something more need to be done for lasting peace. So taking the global peace initiative to a higher level, to a new height. This book also proposes a way for lasting peace. What more needs to be done? That's a new beginning for humankind with the transformation of the present world of tension, fear, and uncertainty, resting, or more correctly, trusting on the reason of power. Today, everybody is talking about power. The power balancing going on. Now, more countries are becoming global powers, so they are reworking on those. That is a strategy that has failed and will never work. But to a new world of relief, resilience, and lasting peace, resting on not the reason of power, but on the power of reason. That's the only way that can help. And of course, it comes with a proven, steadfast process for this transformation. Next. When I talk about this transformation, of course, if one of you tells me, this is impossible, RB, you are daydreaming, I don't blame you. I don't blame you for that, because I myself thought like that until I found some human experience that had helped reshape and refine the human spirit in some other areas of human endeavor. They all were processes, mind development processes with ripple effect, characterized by regular reflections on simple, good human behavior, and of course putting them into practice. And all that empowering the ordinary people, as my earlier speakers were mentioning, the ordinary people play an extraordinary role to come to the center stage in reaching the goals, the set goals in those areas of concern. Those processes had worked and produced results and made the transformation they wanted. You know, to explain this little better, I think I need to talk about at least one or two examples. Bear with me, perhaps I'm taking a little long on this. Now, I went to Zambia in Africa after it gained independence. You know, the moment the British left the country, all the major tribal groups were up in arms, fighting each other, all types of wars, killings, death, squalor, for a bigger share of the pie. The first post-independent president, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, you may have heard that name. President Kaunda had an enormous task of national consolidation. How do we bring all these people together? Tried various ways. Failed. Until he applied the process as the one I talked about. What is the process? Process of regular reflections, putting them into practice, with 4 simple words. One Zambia, one nation. He started at his own cabinet table. Typically, he used to raise his sparklingly white handkerchief from his pocket and says, one Zambia. Then the people at the cabinet table says, one nation. 3 times before they go down to the business of the day. And in about a year's time, this practice of reflections went to all spheres of life in that country. Schools, universities, colleges, workplaces, you name them. Even at games, soccer games, and so on and so forth. So after about 2 years, practically everybody was, engaging in these reflections in some manner every day. And I was there, I saw this, I heard this, and friends, I experienced this amazing process and the results it brought. Within few years, how all these wars came to an end, how all that got evaporated, slowly and surely, and the national consolidation took place to its true meaning. So it was done. Take another simple example. I walk into another country, of course, as my friend Henry was saying, I was going from one country to another. So it's a developing country with fair amount of, they get their own share of problems. But I was shocked to see the excellent road manners in that country. Better than anything I had seen in Europe, Asia, and in other parts of Africa. I tried to go to the bottom of this. How did this happen? And that led me to understand the bottom line, in fact, was about 25 years back, the British, when they ruled the country, they had introduced a simple program to the elementary schools in that country. With simpler, regular reflections in that area of interest. Typically, all the school children get together at the school assembly. One child would come to the podium and read few lines of instructions of road manners, and everybody would repeat after that. For an example, on the day they were talking about the way to cross a road, that this child would say perhaps, look right, look left, so everyone would repeat. Look right, look left, look right again. If the road is clear, cross over, but do not hurry, but do not hurry. They may not have told that every day, but they may have told that at least once a month, and every year they were there. I went there 25 years later, and everybody in that country was doing that. Why? It was not only with the kids, they were doing that. And they went on, shared this exciting experience with the parents. Parents are so excited because their children are going to be safe on the roads. They shared that with their friends at workplaces, church groups, wherever they went, wherever people gathered. And they all encouraged and took part in this process. Unbelievable. It's an amazing thing. Such a simple program changing the behavioral pattern of an entire nation. Just imagine, if we implemented that worldwide, the entire world would be different. So it can be done, it was done. And that kind of process works and had to work. One more little example before I finish. Take the modern environmental movement. There was one man in one place thought, things were getting bad, we must do something about it. At least we must reflect on the environment once a year. Let us have at least one day to focus on the environment and talk about the environment in our educational institutions, schools, colleges, universities, and so on. So in no time, like-minded people got together in the way that some community leaders are joining here to inaugurate the Peace Club next week. Here, the same building, 4th floor. So they joined. And in time, they also had great ideas. They said, why not we do this also? And that day became more colorful with varied things on that particular day. They even had to change the name of the day from Teaching Day to Earth Day, as you know. But you know, 40 years later, my friends, one man started in one place, 192 countries, 19,000 organizations, 1.5 billion people celebrated the Earth Day in 2010. Can you believe this? The ripple effect, global ripple effect, regular reflection, putting things into practice. That's what I'm talking about. So, what reflections are we talking about? If you want to. You know, what reflections are we talking about in peace building? In peace building, okay. Thank you, Bari. So, what reflections are talking about in peace building? I want you to put the next slide. Now, first of all, if you go by those examples, we need to reflect on what could confront, combat, or eradicate the causes and conditions behind wars. So what are those? You know, in my detailed research, at one stage, I wanted to see all the conflicts, major conflicts in the world together, and have a feeling how it would look like. You know, trying to understand why they are fighting there, why they are fighting here, why here, why here, why here, why there. Look at everything together. And I realized there were many, many, many reasons, as you know. However, I found 4 basic fundamental factors behind any one of the major conflicts in the world you can think of. What are those 4 things? Number 1, greed for scarce resources. It can be oil, it can be water, it can be diamond, gold, anything. And second, social and political vendetta. People are fighting not for today's problems, but what few generations before did. Decades, centuries, even millenniums back. Still fighting. A child born to a family on any side of such a country, you know, the inherent enemy from the day the child was born. What a pathetic human society we are in. Can we be happy with that kind of situation? Now, number 3 is despotic rule. Some crazy, you know, egocentric, power-hungry people in some parts of the world creating problems for their own country and for all the countries in the world. And number 4, identity politics. You know, some people trying to take advantage of the democratic system we have so far built, trying to get power with the technique of divide and rule. Divide and rule. As if the well-being and happiness of certain group or groups more important than those of some other groups. So those are 4 main culprits I saw among all these. And unless we tackle those 4, we are not going anywhere in peace building or making this world peaceful. So what reflections can combat these evils? You know, like in the other examples, people have a tendency to think when the problem is big, you need a big problem, complex solution. No. Just like in the examples I said, the solution, what can combat them are simple human virtues of caring and sharing, forgiving and forgetting, acting responsibly and in a trustworthy manner, and treating the well-being and happiness of all humans just like your own. Just see how simple they are. Can't you embrace them? We people, we humans have the ability to do good too. Not only we can make wars, we can also make peace. We have that ability in us. So those are virtues we can inculcate in us. And this can be, these reflections, we can engage in these reflections either individually or in groups, families, classmates, schoolmates, like in those examples, or in any kind of social political gatherings, or even interfaith groups, or even peace groups, you name them, or even at games series, even in the World Series. Why not? If we work for that. And perhaps the whole global community, 8 billion people together with the sponsorship of the United Nations, we have to work for it, but it can be done. So, where am I taking all these stories? Just to let you know, don't you agree with me, in any society, those who engage in such reflections on a regular basis would not anymore empower the greedy, the vengeful, the despotic, or those who indulge in identity politics. This brings us to something very important. Why do I say that? In fact, it brings us to everything about world peace. That is, the spread of these simple human virtues in humanity, you will agree with me, would create an energetic field, strong enough even to empower the cause of human destiny. Can't you see that? Friends, the onus is on us, the present occupants of this beautiful world, this beautiful green planet, to take the first step and do the needful. For the sake of our children, our grandchildren, and all those who would follow, as they sure deserve nothing less. That's my message in the book, friends. Now, before I walk out of the podium, I must also say, I am deeply humbled by the enthusiasm that I see around in our local community, as well as by those who read the book from other parts of the world. And I'm sure the local community leaders who are here today epitomize this growing sense of inspiration and encouragement. And of course, they have already organized the inauguration of a peace club in Surrey next week, Saturday, same place, not here but on the 4th floor. So I wish to see you all at that time. So thank you so much.
May everyone care for the needs of others and share what is available in an equitable manner. May everyone forgive and forget any harm done by others. May everyone always act responsibly and in a trustworthy and reliable manner. May everyone appreciate the well-being and happiness of all humans, just as one's own, irrespective of race, ethnicity, tribe, religion, language, culture, and ideology.
Okay, from the 4 core cardinal points he put on the board for us as the recipe for peace, the 2 little poems were sourced out, and I'll read them quickly. They are just 1 minute each. And the first poem is A New Beginning for Humankind. Peace is the footstool of the universe, is a golden crown on the survival of the human race. It puts no one in jitters or quivers. Peace is forever free, and it begins with me. Why acquire the killer bomb and spend billions on making weapons of mass destruction, when by simple human acts of caring and sharing, peace trees bear fruits, sweet fruits, free, enchanting, captivating, fruits that will nourish all humans, inspiring them to build a peaceful and safer planet for future generations. Forgive the nasty harm done of recent or long ago. Forget the smarting hurt to your tribe and yours truly, the human ego. A single responsible act in a trustworthy manner. An atom of respect by all for Earth's human diversity will shine the light of life and peace on all in nation, hamlet, or city, and show the positive path to a new beginning for humankind. The second one, there's something in it called Lokiko, and it's an acronym sourced from his words, love, kindness, and compassion. Lokiko. When it gets there, you join me to say Lokiko. Can we say that now? Lokiko is L-O-K-I-C-O. Okay? If only everyone could learn to care for the other, be it friend, foe, or brother. If only all humans could learn to forgive and forget, and from past hurt, neither fret nor regret, then we'll live in Lokiko Garden, a peaceable world of love, kindness, and compassion. If only everybody could learn to act responsibly, and from inner self induce goodness infinitely. If only all people would learn to share and appreciate in all living beings their happy state, then we'll weave a Lokiko thread around race, tribe, and creed, and raise our voices in one festive ovation of Lokiko. Love, kindness, and compassion. Lokiko. One world, one human race. no kickoff. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Until we get a microphone, can you hear me in the back? I would love to thank all of you that made this book possible. Now, in my listing, there's a great danger of missing people that participated in making this book possible. And I apologize in advance for somebody out. And I also apologize for mispronouncing names, because I'll probably do that. Now, first of all, I'd like to thank the ad hoc group that started on planning the book launch back in the spring, meeting periodically. There's David Daly, Felix Congley, Comfort Arrow, Dr. Chris Egvig, Mohammed Alam, Henry Sabasinghe, sorry about that, Kamamala Herath, and myself. And then also taking care of the logistics for actually holding the book launch, for the reception, for ushering, for organizing the book sales and signing, for the refreshments. I'd like to thank Ramya and Rayanzi Wirasinghe, Nandani Wajevardne, Bunny Sidhu, Gotama Rasnakavare, Conchana Gunaratne, and Aride Silva, Krita Shetty, Fern Shanandras, and Deputy Ariana Natli. And this team was also joined by some youth, Sanjag and Alam Sidhu, and Mission and Malan Wajiravade. I'm sorry for my slaughtering of the names. Also for technical support, I'd like to thank Major Sidhu, Anaru Rasnak Awere, and Palita Ranasinghe. I'd also like to thank those people that chanted the Global Peace Reflections. We've got Justin, have I still got this? Still Sam? Aurora, Steve, Reynolds, Kriti, Malan, Emelida, and Tasene, and Erica. I thought I'd leave out the last names because I wasn't doing a good job of it anyway. And then also, of course, the dance group. I never got your names, but thank you so much, African Stages. Yes. And so much thanks to our guest speakers for finding time in their busy schedules to be here at the event. That's Councillor Barinda Rohande and Paul Dillon. Oh, he didn't show up. And Felix Kongri, David Daly, Comfort Arrow, and Mohammed Alam. Thank you so much. And now the book signing is taking place in the back of the room. And I just wanted to let you know about next week's event. On Saturday, September 28th at 2 p.m. in the same location, but up on the 4th floor, there's going to be the inaugurational meeting of the Global Peace Alliance in Surrey. So please, we'd love to see you there and bring your friends. Refreshments are already being served, so that's lovely. And please, as I've mentioned before, please feel welcome to stay behind and have the author sign your book and chat to the author, chat to anybody that has been participating in the program and answer questions. And so thank you so much for coming.
Hi everyone. As Bonnie mentioned, she may have missed big love from me before I'm tirelessly to make this event successful. This is quite understandable, as the list is pretty long. I'm sure they all will pardon us for not mentioning their names individually. However, one of those names should not go completely unnoticed. Aarti and I met this person first at the Surrey Interfaith Gathering. From the time she heard about this new book, she showed lots of interest in reading it. After reading it, she also became a leading member of the working groups of both this launch and the Global Peace Alliance we are trying to build. She is none other than our MC today, Connie Waterman. You did a wonderful job, Connie. Thank you so much. Let us all give her a big round of applause. Yeah.